What's up Yakuza fans, welcome back to the Ishin Beginner's Guide. This one's going to be all about the battle dungeons. The battle dungeons are eerily reminiscent of the subterranean area of Dead Souls. They're basically just added missions used for grinding and collecting cards. If you've got the Ishin Vita app, you can run these on the go and transfer your items and levels back and forth, which I personally think is a better way to do this, because each dungeon is pretty quick and it's just much more fun to do on the handheld while you're traveling or whatever. Playing them on the console can just be a little bit tedious, especially because you need to run them over and over and over to get the best crafting materials. The gameplay for the battle dungeons is a little different than the rest of the game. Ryoma can bring soldier cards with him on missions, and each has its own stats and special abilities that can be activated while running the dungeon by holding L2 and pressing the control pad in whichever card you'd like to activate. Some cards give you extra damage, regenerating health, or even explosive attacks. Each card is on a cooldown timer, so it'll need to recharge before it can be used again. There is a ton of cards to collect, so I'm going to point you guys over to KHHSubs, who has every single card listed with rarity and effect. I'll quickly go over the different types of cards and symbols so you know what you're getting yourself into. There's 5 different types of cards: attack, defense, medical, support, assist, and instructor, and varying levels of each. Super rares are gold, rares are silver, uncommons are bronze, and commons just match the color scheme of the class they're in. So here's a typical card as seen when picking them in the squad selection. Going from the top left, you've got your character holding whichever weapon he's assigned, so spears, or sword, gun, etc. And directly under his photo, you'll see a loyalty gauge. As you beat the levels with this card in your inventory, the loyalty will go up. If you lose, it'll go down, and if it drops to 0, he'll flee the Shinsengumi, and you'll need to find the missing soldier hiding out over near Makurugai and convince him to come back. Next we've got health, which is given to Ryoma on top of his base health whenever he enters a dungeon carrying this card. Then the recharge gauge. The higher up this number is, the faster it'll recharge in battle. Both of these will grow as you level your card. Following that, you'll have your soldier's ability, which is activated when this card is added to a soldier slot, and your corporal skill, which is a passive skill that only activates when in the corporal slot. Having a card in the corporal spot will let you use both his passive skill and soldier ability at the same time. Head on over to this guy hanging out in the Shinsengumi HQ anytime after you're introduced to them in Chapter 5. You'll be greeted with this menu. Now, the game does go over this in the tutorial, but I'll just skim through it here as well. Talk to him and choose the top option to bring up the battle dungeon menu. The top option lets you organize your squad so you can choose which cards to bring with you. The second is to select a mission. The third option lets you buy new card packs. The fourth is managing your item box, and the fifth is more instructions. The final option is to exit. Select the top option to organize your cards. Select the first slot and then choose the first option to set a corporal card. Remember, corporals give passive buffs. And again I'll say, check out KHHSubs guide because there's way too many cards and abilities to list here. Once you've got your corporal card set your soldier cards the same way. If you select a slot that's already got a card in it, you'll get a few more options. The first lets you swap the card out, the second lets you synthesize 2 cards together, allowing the base card to absorb the experience of the selected one. The third option lets you rebirth a card at level 1, which can only be done once the card reaches max level, allowing you to level it up from 0 again, while still retaining all of the improved stats. You'll need to trade a weapon of matching value in order to rebirth the card. So a rare soldier card will need a 5-star weapon, uncommon needs 4 stars, and common needs 3. The ultra rare cards require specific weapons in order to rebirth, which as you can imagine is a huge pain in the ass. The final option removes the card from the squad entirely. Once you're happy with your squad, head down to the second option and select a mission. There's 3 different groups of missions, and each has its own varying degree of difficulty and item drops. And some missions require you to only go through with certain squad mates. If you're after something specific to make that fire sword, you'll need to work out where it drops and hope for the best as you fight through it again and again. Select the mission, select your squad, and move on out. In the dungeons, you'll basically be flipping switches and carving through enemies while you hope that the rare item you're after drops. Heading down to the third option, you can buy new soldier cards. The more you spend, the more likely you are to get a rare card. I loathe this system, but hey, at least it's not done with microtransactions. Remember, if you get doubles, you can always level them up and fuse them to make sure that none go to waste. If you need to own more cards, you can also purchase this as an upgrade within the Dharma exchange. And that about wraps it up for the battle dungeons. I know this is a lot to absorb, so I've tried to keep it simple. Again, if you'd like to know more about any of these, please check out KHHSubs guides. It's invaluable, especially if you're going for 100%. Again, I recommend playing these on the Vita app because the grind will kill you. Thanks for watching, and please leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Catch you guys next time.